Hello and welcome to episode 36 of Hoopinions, Superstars in the Making, Generation Z, and Luka.
Oh my gosh. Superstars in the making. Oh my god.
I'm
Absolutely
Harry.
going insane this week.
Hold up.
I'm Ben.
Oh.
I'm so excited.
It's Harry, it's Ben. It's been an absolutely crazy week.
Absolutely wild. Oh my goodness. We've seen some of the most ridiculous performances and comebacks in tight games. It has been a fire week overall. My goodness.
Did they put something in the cereal or something? Like, there's been fights, there's been crazy dunks, there's been crazy games. Like,
I feel like it's festive season, it's holiday season. They just decided to turn it up to 12 on the dial, and everything has been off the hook. So, where do we even start? Where do we start? Well,
there's only two to pick. We've got to pick between two. Do we want to talk about Luka or do we want to talk about Zion?
Let's start with Luka. He absolute top news right now. We have to start with Luka.
So, Luka pretty much carried the Mavericks to a win over New York the other day. Absolutely crazy. 60 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. He's the second person ever for a 60-point triple-double.
And the first person to ever get 20 rebounds and 60 points in a triple-double. It's absolutely insane.
Crazy. And what's crazy about this game is, like, pretty much the whole game, they were down by, like, 10, 15 points. The whole game.
Yeah. Trailing wire to wire, pretty much. And they were down by 9, I think, with 33 seconds left. Down by 6 with 23 seconds left. And statistically, once teams are down by that much, I think there have been 15,000 games that have ever had that differential by the end of the game. No team's ever come back from that deficit with that little time left on the clock.
So look, and I have to say that Luka played absolutely insane, but New York also helped them a little bit, giving away silly fouls, missing clutch free throws. It's just one of those once in a lifetime things where, like, everything just fell in Luka's lap, really. Like, but at the same time, there was like 2 shots in the game, like, that he'd hit where, like, he caught the ball in the air and shot the ball while still in the air.
Yeah. So yeah, for context, by the end of because this went to OT, end of regulation time, I think he was at the line. They were still down by 2, and he had 1 free throw. So obviously, you have to try and hit it off the rim, get a shot, which is hard enough to do initially. But the fact that he'd already scored 52 points at this point, he perfectly hits it off the rim. And to be fair, the Knicks also terrible boxing out and rebounding. Somehow just falls to him, and he catches it midair and puts it straight back in. Doesn't even bank it in.
It falls through like 2 Knicks got fingers on the ball, and they kind of like popped out of each other's hands, and it landed straight in Luka's hands.
Like, you can't write this stuff. Like, it's honestly just all the things went his way that game. Played incredibly. Also, shout out as well. It's not like he was bombing threes or whatever to get those 60 points. He had 2 threes in the game. A lot of it was from free throws, admittedly. But just made so many just smart shots from the field. I saw him posting up against some of the smaller defenders, against like Quickly and Grimes, and really just playing smart basketball, shooting 67% of the game. So yeah, he wasn't just chucking, he was being smart with it, but also had to kind of carry the team as well, who were without Dorian Finney-Smith and Kleber and Josh Green.
Because the Mavs just can't seem to stop anything.
No, they're a good offensive team. They were improved defensively last season, but this season they're just hemorrhaging points left and right, like a sieve or a colander, just letting everything get through. The Dallas Colanders, we need to call them.
But so I did watch a quick breakdown video of this game, and they've been really big on the Spain pick and roll, which we've talked about before, which is basically it's your standard high pick and roll, but then the person that's setting the pick, their defender gets screened by a second person. It's like a screen. And then the second screener pops out to the 3-point line, and the person, and this sounds really crappy on audio. I wish I could just insert a video here, but basically the first screener will roll to the hoop, and the second screener will pop out to the 3-point line. And when Luka's at the one getting screened, he then has 3 options, essentially. four really. He could take the shot. He could pop it to the roller. He could pop it to the person that popped out, and he's still got another person sitting around somewhere that he could chuck it to. And he decimated the Knicks with it. They just could not stop it.
Yeah, creating that many looks from one play, and when you have someone with the court vision like Luka, it's pretty hard to stop. Because I mean, even with someone else running the point on that play, it's tough. But Luka's vision, hence his triple double with 10 assists, it's pretty tough to stop.
Powell and Wood were feasting.
Yeah, yeah. Christian Wood I think had 19 points in the game, and props to Spencer Dinwiddie as well, contributing to. Quick side as well. Tim Hardaway with 11 points. He's been really inconsistent since he's come back. I feel like because obviously the Mavs are led by Luka. After that, their number 2 at this point is really Dinwiddie and maybe Wood and Hardaway. It depends.
Yeah.
But yeah, without kind of that second option, it kind of falls to the rest of the starters to all contribute different games. And Hardaway's had like some 30-point games this season, but he's also had some like 0 and 2-point games. So yeah, I think Luka just needs more consistent pieces around him. Otherwise, he's going to have to put up 60 every night.
It's not sustainable. I have a question though. Did this game cement Luka as the top candidate to win this year's MVP?
I mean, I think for me it still comes down to team performance. I think that's a big factor. But when he's balling out this much, I mean, you almost have to give it to him, right? He's just playing incredibly. I think he's currently second in the points per game this season with like almost 34 points or something. I mean, yeah, when you're playing that well, I think you have to give it to him anyway, because without him, the Mavericks would probably be the bottom of the West, which is kind of crazy to think about. Without him, they'd be absolutely bottom, whereas currently they're sitting in a playoff play-in position. So
they're fighting for play-in position. I don't see. I was thinking about this before, and it's like Luka is starting to get the story behind him. Like the media are coming behind him. He's getting a lot of attention, and that's what you need. You have to have the story and the media backing.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think if they do make the playoffs, I would say he's the MVP, because I mean Jokic has done it with his team finishing about 6th. So I think if he makes playoffs, then I think he does get it. I mean, look, his performance has been outstanding, so I think he does deserve it. We'll have to see how the second half of the season goes, but yeah, I think at this point he's MVP.
Yeah, look, but Jokic is also putting in another strong resume for an attempt at his 3rd MVP in a row.
That is true. I think currently, I mean the Nuggets are playing well. He's stepped up to another gear. He always seems to do that. Had some incredibly flashy passes. I think the highlight reel's been going off with him between his legs to a player and things like that. So, I mean, I think he's always going to be a candidate. We're almost like getting numb to these levels of performances, though. It's insane. Like, especially Jokic, like the things he's doing as a center, we're just used to now, which we I think to almost take for granted. The absolute court vision. I think he's probably one of the best, if not the best, passing big ever. Outstanding.
When do you reach a ceiling? Like, it's just going to get to the point where you need to have 5 Lukas on your team, like, or 5 Jokic's. Like,
players, Luka or Jokic would be incredible. Little point that I just thought about as well. I think if Luka was to win MVP this season, I think he'd be tied for the 2nd youngest ever. I think Derrick Rose was the youngest MVP at 22. Luka's 23 this year. So unless he turns 24 by the time the end of the season, which he might actually, he'd be the 2nd youngest MVP ever. So,
So we promised to talk about Zion as well, who had a huge game against the Timberwolves.
Absolutely wild. Career high in points. To start off with, he had 43 points, I think.
43 points.
Putting up big numbers, but I feel like the most exciting bit was the end of the game when he turned it up.
Yeah, he got a mad dunk, or was it a dunk or a layup? I can't remember. No, it was a layup, but he got a mad layup, and then the next play got a steal, iced that down, and really put the pressure on, because they only won that game by 1. It was a really like the Timberwolves, dare I say it, up until the 4th quarter were playing really well.
They actually were playing well. D'Angelo Russell decided to turn up this game. He had like 27, I think. Anthony Edwards as well, 27. So they were actually playing quite quite well against a pretty strong Pelicans team at the moment.
First in the West.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, first in the West. So honestly, the Timberwolves were looking quite solid, but yeah, those last few possessions, yeah, he had a three, which he's not usually the best at, but he obviously has that kind of in his bag. Hit a three, got some clutch layups, steal, and just iced it. So that was really. And the thing I loved as well was how hype he was. Yeah, he wasn't playing it cool. He was like, "Heck yeah, I'm here. This is my league now, baby." And
he took over. It was that it was that moment where you could almost stop time, and it's like, this is when someone has to do something. This is your Jordan moment, your LeBron moment. Like, this is what makes people, this is what defines a superstar versus just a good player. That ability to come through and recognize, I need to do something now, and I have, there was no time for second attempts. I think it was a minute left or something. There wasn't enough time on the clock to run it back. He made an impact, he got it in, and they ended up winning by 1, and it was clutch.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's just even more exciting because we've been without Zion for quite a while with injuries and stuff. So it's even better to see him back and playing this well. So yeah, man, the future's looking bright for the league between Luka, Zion. Oh my goodness!
Did you hear the crowd reactions as well? The Pelicans, what a crowd! They've just been on fire recently. Huge games, and the crowd. It sounds like it's playoffs with how much noise is going on. Absolutely.
I love to see it because it's playoff atmosphere, and we're still only halfway through the regular season. So
people are turning up. I just want to quickly throw out as well that Zion dunked on Gobert with his right hand. Now, that is
lefty.
That's exactly, that is significant because most of this season Zion's done everything possible to bring it back to his left, and every single time you see people trying to stop him, it's always trying to stop him from going to the left. And then Gobert, who should be pretty he's not strong enough to stop Zion, but he's tall enough to at least get in the way.
Yeah,
gets dunked on his offhand.
The disrespect. But yeah, that is actually fascinating because he has been favoring his left hand a lot. So the fact that he's mixing it up, because defense can eventually adjust a little bit if you're favoring one hand too strongly.
Been trying, and Zion's just I don't care.
Strong.
I'm left-handed. But the fact that he's that you're starting, and I'm sure he could do things on his right. I'm not saying that he's one hand only, but it's good to. It just means that if he gets more comfortable going to his right, that people are going to really, really struggle because this season has gone really hard onto his left hand, his preferred hand, and if he can bring more of this right hand into play, it's gonna
unstoppable. What do you do?
Crazy. I quickly want to mention the Timberwolves. There's been a lot of talk about Gobert not pulling his weight, and I'm still going to reiterate, I think it's a team problem. I don't think you can blame all of the Timberwolves' problems on Gobert. Would you like to see him be a little bit more aggressive on defense? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But the Timberwolves' problems are not all Gobert's fault.
No, I think it's a roster as a whole. I think has a few issues, inconsistency with a lot of their players that should be kind of bleeding.
They're just not. I just think in general they're just not a consistent team.
No.
One night they're on fire and you see the potential. That's the thing with this team. This team has all the potential. I think this is a great team. They have
100%.
Great possibilities, but it's just not clicking. They're not getting those shots, and they're not being aggressive. They're not getting what they want.
Yeah. They've got the pieces there. I think some of it is kind of that adjustment because it is, I think, quite a change in roster from last season. So I am kind of giving them a little bit of time, a little bit of wiggle room. But yeah, it's decent depth into the season now. So you'd hope to see a little bit of a change. They are without Cat. We should also mention as well.
Which is helpful.
So that's
Look, they're a B-level version of the Cavaliers. They haven't got the same personnel, but this is the NBA. They've got the personnel required to pull off this strategy, but they need to lock into the strat, and they need to work out the best ways for them to get points. It's completely achievable. The Cavaliers are playing fantastic, and they've slipped down to 4th, but they're already half a game behind. Like, they're still a game behind 2nd and half a game behind 3rd, and they're 3 games behind 1st. Like, if the Cavs, if the Cavs can do it, so can the Timberwolves. But
yeah, we've seen the big lineup can work, so I think there's potential there. But yeah, we just need to see a bit more consistency, really. And with how close the West is, they can't afford to be inconsistent because it's that close. It could be the difference between playoff and completely missing it. So
well, they're in 11th at the moment, and a week ago Dallas was in 11th. So it's gonna come down to the wire, which we're super excited about.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you see? Which I think I've sent you the clip. Did you see the Detroit and the Magic fight?
Yeah, I was ready for Malice in the Palace Part 2. Oh my gosh,
that's
so
a good
funny.
name. Oh, I wish.
Yeah, well, because back in it's a little bit of NBA history for you if you didn't know, but back in the early 2000s, Indiana were playing at Detroit, and that's that famous fight where like you had Meta World Peace and stuff.
Is that the one where they run into the stands?
Yeah.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, so really bad rep for the NBA after that. And it's funny, every time there's like even a little bit of a scuffle in the Detroit home arena, you hear the announcers go, "Everyone stay in your seats," because they just don't want anything to escalate. Yep.
That's why they were saying that. I thought that was a message to like the bench. I was like, I thought they were trying to stop the benches from getting into it. Oh.
Yeah, partially. It's just because of the history of that arena. So there you go, a little history lesson with Ben.
That makes a lot, because I was like, why are they really, like, it's too late. The bench, like the Magic bench already left. Like, I need to do some follow-up. I reckon there's going to be some suspensions from this. But
there must be, because it's pretty bad. I mean, to be fair, the Detroit bench stayed in their bench because it was happening right in front of them.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the whole play? Let's get a breakdown here.
Yeah, all right. So I'm just literally rewatching it now just so I can make sure I'm accurate here before I make a big call. I think, look, there were... You could say there are 2 parts to this. Let's break it down real quick. First of all, ball running down the court. You've got Mo Wagner chasing after it. Killian Hayes, much shorter, faster player, is coming up. Pretty much like would get an open layup if he grabbed the ball, and then Wagner gives him a bit of a nudge, sends him flying to the bench. That's the first part.
Yep.
I mean, first of all, that's a I don't know what language I can use on the potty, but
keep it clean.
That's a baby little baby move. Like you can't be. That's a weak move. I mean, when someone's going full sprint, even that little bit of nudge sends them into the stand, not far from the table either. That can injure someone. So first of all, yeah, that's not right.
Completely agree. It was the stupidest foul, and it's a dirty foul. That's not a dirty play. It's not clean, and I think he knew. Like you could sort of see in his body language, like the moment he does it, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna." Like you could see in his body language, like, "Oh, I've messed up." And but like it's a dumb play, and honestly, look, the other thing was it wasn't necessary. They were up by like 15. It was 63-44. It
wasn't a close game, so it's not really necessary to be pulling things like that. That's something I'd expect from the Morris brothers.
Exactly. It was I don't want to say maybe it wasn't a dirty foul, but it was a dumb foul.
Yeah, I'd go so far as to say it's dirty, because I feel like as players you should know that when someone's going full sprint it can end badly. I mean, it was probably just in the moment he didn't think it through. Maybe
frustration.
Didn't intend it to be as bad as it was. Well, thankfully Killian Hayes wasn't injured as far as I could tell. Landed on the bench.
Oh, he popped up again. Right. Yeah,
but then the second part of it.
give me a rundown of what happened in part 2.
Yeah, so part 2, pretty much you've got Wagner. I think after that point he kind of knew he messed up. He ends up kind of just running ends up in front of the bench. Killian Hayes tries to get back up and get some and clocks him in the back of the head, which could be argued as a bit of a punk move. That's the word I was looking for, punk move.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of justified. This guy just got thrown off the court. I understand the retaliation, but it is kind of unfortunate it was in the back of the head. Because that's a bit of a punk move too.
That's the problem. So that for me personally, that is the part that I have like. I don't have an issue with him getting up and being mad. the issue I have is that it was. I'm looking at the clip now. Was it a punch or was it an elbow?
It was a punch. I'm pretty sure he just managed to
the back of the head, and
yeah,
that is where Hayes goes from being like, I don't mind if he arcs up after that dirty foul, but a punch to the head instantly changes everything. To the back of the head, sorry. A punch to the back of the head. You can't even do that in boxing, MMA. Like, that's a banned strike. And there's a reason why. It's incredibly dangerous.
And I'm pretty sure, just analysing now, and I think some comments are saying too, that he actually did go unconscious for about like 10 seconds or something. He did actually pass out on the bench. Yeah.
Look at the punch. He drops, and then look at the coaches. Look at the Detroit coaches. They instantly start shielding him. I think, and I agree with the comments. I think he got knocked out.
Yeah, I mean that's a really not right thing to do, because that's
dangerous.
When you get into like concussions and things like that, like talking brain damage, that's bad. But the only thing I will say is that, because we did kind of use this defense a little bit for the Jokic-Morris incident, which was last season, where Morris shoved Jokic. Jokic understandably retaliates and shoves Morris, and Morris had his back turned, and I think he ended up injuring his back. You shouldn't turn your back. I think that's rule number one. If you've initiated something, you probably shouldn't be turning your back.
To be fair, he didn't turn his, like, he got pushed in, like.
Yeah.
Okay, damn.
It's a tough one, because he wasn't really starting a fight. He kind of just like pushed and then kind of was trying to just walk off, right? Like, yeah, kind of like, all right, whatever, I'm moving on. So it's not like he turned his back to a fight, but you should at least expect some retaliation. But I think that doesn't excuse hitting him in the head. I think if it was a shove, sure, fair enough. I'm totally on Hayes' side. You got shove back, sure. Yeah. But clocking him in the back of the head and knocking the guy unconscious, that's a bit far.
If he clocked him in the face, I think that's fair play. Like, as much as I condone all forms of violence and that you shouldn't, like, you guys get paid millions of dollars, like, just react, make a show out of it, but don't actually.
Just to clarify, we don't condone violence. We condemn violence.
Oh, whoops.
Look, carry on.
I woke up at 12 today. So we condemn violence, and these guys are making millions of dollars. Make a show out of it, but I don't think cause any actual harm to each other. But clocking in the back of the head, even in a hot situation, is a bad move. And looking at the Orlando Magic injury sheet, it just says that Wagner's out at the moment. So I think that he is probably going through concussion protocols.
Yep.
So, and I think it's one of those things where two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think in the heat of the moment, it's hard, but you shouldn't
need to rise above that, or at least like the way that he was Wagner was already off balance because someone else had come in and pushed him from behind, and then Hayes, the way Hayes just sort of ran in from behind and clocked him, it's just regrettable, and I'd be curious. It's tough, but I think that Hayes went from being very much in the right and very much I would not have blamed him for getting upset to now I'm like,
just because of the hit in the back of the head, that's kind of where we draw the line.
Yeah, pretty much. That is the issue. It's really, really dangerous, and there's a reason why pretty much all combat sports don't have that shot allowed. It's pretty much an instant DQ. Yeah.
Two funny, quick little facts. I thought that the fight would escalate a little bit more because they do have Isaiah Stewart on the team, and we saw what happened when LeBron made him bleed. He was going after him for a good 10 minutes trying to get a punch in. So at least that didn't escalate any further. And secondly, you can tell the difference between the vets and the youngsters, because these are two young teams. You've got all the youngsters running in, backing up their boys, and then you have Bogdanovic, who's just chilling, just waiting for it to calm down. He's like, I've been here long enough to know it'll settle down in a bit.
Oh my goodness.
And Bol just standing back because he knows if he throws hands, he can reach you from the next suburb over. So.
Yeah. Bol never, he's aggressive on the court, but I've never really seen him get fired up, which...
Yeah. He's quite level-headed, actually, so... as far as it goes that I've seen, So
we've got here that Wagner got ejected for a flagrant, and then Killian Hayes and Hamadou
Diallo.
There we go.
Yep.
They were also thrown out from the Pistons. So just overall not a great situation.
No. So yeah, I don't like to see it, but I mean, it certainly made it interesting. But yeah, you don't like to see anyone getting injured or concussed from these things. So yeah.
Yeah. So just try and keep it's hard, but keep a cool head. But it was a big scuffle, and but yeah, two wrongs don't make a right, kids.
Yep, that's the moral of the story.
Moral of the story. I've put in our notes how we're doing for time. Oh, we're doing pretty good for time. I would really, before I get into a hot sauce, because I have got a little hot sauce, I want to talk a little bit about LeBron James, because he's usually LeBron's very careful and precise about what he says in post-game interviews. Even when they had that big Russ problem where everyone was trying to pile on Russ, I think LeBron was very careful with how he addressed that, pretty much saying like, hey, Russ needs to get better, but we believe in him. Never truly dropping any one of his teammates under the bus, ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Or if he does, he makes sure to drop the whole team under the bus. He never singles out players. He's always very, very careful with what he says. So after their loss to the Miami Heat, first off, there was at the beginning of the year, in January, February, March, April, LeBron tweeted out that I can/will not miss the postseason again for my career. That stuff, in quotations, hurt. Okay, back to watching those games. He deleted that tweet the other day.
Ooh. There's nothing more juicy than like deleting the tweet. It's one thing to like tweet something juicy, but when you delete it,
so
even better.
Do you think that the Lakers season's over? Is this LeBron admitting that this team can't do it?
I think it is. I mean, look, you always back yourself. You always back your team. You kind of have to have that mentality, because who knows? There are times where you can turn things around. But the Lakers are not good this season. They're sitting in 13th in the West, 14-21. I mean, I'm surprised they've won as many as they have, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, just with like AD out and stuff like that. Like maybe if he was back, they could have a bit of a push, because the West is quite close. But I think maybe this is a sign that he's being a little bit more realistic. Knows it's kind of over.
He's been pushing AD as like the number one option like these last couple of years. Like he wants to be a number 2 or a 3 in the pecking order. He hasn't got the body to be a number 1 anymore. But it doesn't look good. And then after their loss to Miami, he said these two quotes in the press conference. The first one was, "I'm a winner and I want to win. Playing basketball at this level just to be playing basketball, it's just not in my DNA anymore." And we also have, "I don't want to finish my career playing at this level from a team aspect. I want to still be able to compete for championships because I know what I can bring to any ball club with the right pieces." Break it down for me, Ben.
Man, I actually really agree with those quotes. I think it's spot on, because, look, honestly, even that second quote, he knows what he can still bring to a ball club. LeBron on a lot of different teams would be like so valuable. I think, he's pretty spot on. He's obviously a winner. We've seen it from his career, made the playoffs an incredible number of years, and not seeing him there is a bit weird. It's like, what's happening? So, look, I don't know if he's hinting that he's going to be retiring or leaving or anything, but I think the sentiment is there, and I think if the Lakers don't get their act together, I wish him the best, and I hope he finds a better team or retires, because, it's just a waste of time, really, for him. For his legacy. Okay,
I've got a question. Why did he re-sign for 2 years then, if he wanted to be in a championship-winning team? Is he delusional? Like that, when he re-signed, like that Lakers team wasn't that good.
No. I mean, they managed to get a championship with not too far away of a team. I mean, it was mostly AD and himself. Really carrying, and they got a ring from that. So it's not super far-fetched, but he should have at least known, based on what they had left of that team, the aging players, that it was less likely. Maybe they thought that bringing in Russ would be that spark they needed, which I mean, is improving, but it hasn't been the X factor they needed. And I think part of it's also just for family reasons. I think that's obviously factoring in.
Like, but then don't complain that you're not winning if you chose to stay in LA to be in LA. He didn't re-sign with the Lakers because the team was good. He re-signed to the Lakers because it suited him and his family to stay in LA. If you want to go if you want to go play on a championship contender, Bron, you have to go to the championship contender.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, look, the Clippers are in LA. Maybe we should move there. Yeah, I think it looks like it's a bit more of a family life decision. But I don't know, maybe at the time it didn't seem too far out of the question that they were a contender.
What do you mean? He signed the extension on August 19, 2022.
Oh, yeah, no, fair enough. I don't know, but with AD back, potential, no, I think he is probably just, a bit delusional.
Like, it's all great to say how he wants to play better, but he decided, at the end of that, look, I'm going to be hard on him. He decided to stay in LA.
Yeah. Yeah, he could have moved. If it was really down to he wants to win, he wants to have a ring in his final few seasons, he should have gone elsewhere and could have. Anywhere would have taken him, to be honest.
Oh, he shouldn't have forced the Russ trade.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. So
okay,
it's more of a social move.
Yeah. Play the hot sauce music now.
So hot. Alucinante, como el picante. It's Harry's hot sauce.
Welcome to the hot sauce of today. I want to talk about the Golden State Warriors because we talked a couple weeks ago how we were a bit disappointed with, at least I was disappointed with some of their behavior in blowout victories. We talked about how Curry and Draymond both got texts for excessive celebrations on the sidelines, and we're having a bit of a general discussion about what was disrespectful and respectful in games, and what sort of behavior is warranted. Because I think there's a lot of times where I think it's really, really important that we take into account that, one, playing NBA basketball is a privilege, and two, kids and like these are the NBA is the role model for the rest of the world when it comes to basketball and how to behave on the court. I don't think that gets mentioned enough, that one, it's a privilege to play in a league. You guys get paid millions of dollars to do what they do, but they're also role models, and it's like what they do people are going to replicate, especially young children. And I think it's really important that gets mentioned a bit more. So there was a Christmas Day game between Golden State and the Grizzlies. Golden State blew out the Grizzlies. It just, for whatever reason, it wasn't the Grizzlies' day. Ja had a great game. I think it was in the late 30s on his points, 36 or something. Wiggins and Curry were out, so Jordan Poole was number one. He got 32, I think, but they won at home. And can I just point out really quickly the difference between home Warriors and away Warriors? My goodness.
Yeah,
it's like
I think we mentioned
completely different teams.
How terrible they've been on the road. Yeah,
which I don't know how. And they're in 10th at the moment. They're 18-18. They just can't seem to do any, like, away. Look, at home they're 15-2. Away they're 3-16.
Yeah, I think they've still got the best record on the road, I'm pretty sure.
You mean the worst?
Sorry, at home, rather. They've only got 2 losses in the entire season so far at home. Yep. So worst road record, best home record.
Which is, I can't see that assisting them in a deep playoff run. I just don't see it.
No.
Anywho, in this game, there was a lot of trash talk. A lot of arrogant behavior. There was a lot of back and forth, and I know that these two teams have kind of gone back and there's a bit of beef between these two teams that came from last playoffs. But Jar said in the press conference, "Bruh, can there even be a rivalry if they're beating us by 30 points?" The reason that I have lowered. I've honestly I'm disappointed in the Golden State Warriors again. In a blowout victory where I think they won by like 30 points, most of the game was just iced. It was over. There was 6 technical fouls from Golden State Warriors to the Grizzlies 1. Now, I haven't broken down all of the technical fouls. I haven't gone and checked all of them. I don't know if all of them were warranted or not. Refs do hand out techs a little bit like candy. They're easy to get. I understand that. But just from a pure numbers perspective, if you're winning by 100, like if you're winning by 30 points and your team has 6 techs, it should be the other way around, really. It should be the Grizzlies with the 6 techs. If they were getting frustrated, I could understand a little bit why they have 6 techs. I cannot understand how if you're winning by 30 points that you end up with 6 techs. What are your thoughts, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned the fine line between just like being in the zone, being like in the vibe, enjoying the game, and showboating. Especially when you're up by that much. I think there's a difference between like hitting a clutch shot in a tight game and in the moment just celebrating a bit. I think that's part of the game. But when you're up, by a significant amount, I think it's a bit unnecessary. That is part of the Warriors' DNA a little bit, and I think I do like it when teams do have kind of like a bit of a reputation, bit of DNA. It just adds to the enjoyment of fans. I remember being a Grizzlies fan in like the late early 2010s, the grit and grind era. Like you have that identity, and I think the Warriors' identity is partially them just being very confident, them being really showboaty. But it does get to the point where it's too much, and I think they're treading that line a bit too far sometimes.
Have you seen that clip from a couple of years ago where this was KD era Warriors? They were I can't remember who it was against, but they were up by they'd blown out. It was over. All the starters were on the bench. One of the bench players oops to himself and slams it down. And the moment he comes off, Steve Kerr goes to him and goes, "We don't do that in blowouts."
Yeah.
And like everyone was losing their mind. Like KD was like, "Oh my god, he just dunked on them, and we're up in a blowout." Like everyone was like, "Bro, you don't do this." What happened to that Warriors?
That's a good point, actually, because I actually vividly remember that. I think part of it is just the age of the team. I think they have some of the vets. Some of the vets are still around, like they've got like Iguodala and stuff like that. But some of the vets are gone. They've got a few more younger players. So I think the culture does shift a little bit, and I think it's down to the leaders of the team, notably like Curry, Draymond, to kind of keep the guys in line. But when you have Curry, who's I guess a bit of a showman himself, maybe less cracking down on people celebrating when they shouldn't be. Part of it comes to the coach too, I think too.
There was one play where Dylan Brooks got fouled on a 3-point shot. He was on his back, and Clay is like taunting him right next to him. Like,
I did see that as well.
Did you see that one? And look, I understand. Like, here's the thing, right? I understand that Clay's had a bad start to the season and a difficult season, and by all means, I'm pretty sure he played pretty well that game. I'd have to pull up the shooting splits.
He had 24 points, I think. Not very efficient though. He was shooting very, very poorly, I think, but 24 points overall.
Which I don't know why honestly, if you're not being efficient, I don't know why. Like, sure, you got points, but
you went like 3 from 12 from 3 points. So.
but they were up at that point by a lot. And the way that I just honestly, it doesn't sit right with me. I think that you need to have a bit of respect, and like the Grizzlies were still trying to play and were still doing that, giving it their all, and then the Warriors are just being clowns.
Yeah, that clip in particular, I think that's kind of like the furthest extent, and that's too far. I think back in the day, like maybe 90s, 80s, you would not get away with it. You try something like that, you get decked. Yeah, people wearing chains out there ready to fight you, like, man. So I think
it's one of those things, right? Where if this was a 2-point game and that happened after like a clutch block or whatever, then I'd be all for it. Yeah, but I think the context is important, and acting like a clown who's up by 30 points just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, really, especially because the Warriors aren't actually doing that well in the season either. So the fact that they have like one decent blowout and they're partying the way they are is a little bit
It's
so
Kobe.
I think it'll take maybe a few big losses for a team to humble them. because they have been so dominant in recent years. I think maybe that's part of it, especially with some of the younger guys coming onto a team that has been so dominant. They're like, oh, I'm part of this winning culture now too. So I think that factors in, but it'll take a bit of humbling, a few big blowouts, and maybe not even making the playoffs. Who knows?
If Kobe was on that team, he would be giving them the death stare. There's no way that. And I think honestly, compare it to how would Kobe react. Kobe would clown on those guys and being like, "You guys are idiots. You guys are 18-18, and you guys are taunting a team that you're winning by 30." Kobe would have killed them in practice.
Because he's a silent killer. Like he trash talks as much as like Jordan and stuff did, but like in game, he's not going to be doing dances and stuff like that. He's going to be just showing you up on the court. Like he's going to be hitting tough shots, and that's the way you know that okay, he's dominating.
Being that disrespectful, being that disrespectful because of a blowout win when you're 19-19 or 18-18, Kobe would have just been like, "You guys are." Yeah, you guys are pretenders.
But end of the day, it looks bad on them because if you're up 30 or whatever, you just keep quiet, get the job done, look badass while doing it. Then that's the way to do it.
Get your stats up, bro. If you're up by 30, get some easy shots in. Bump up your percentages a little bit. Why turn this into like a huge rivalry when you're up by 30? I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I might have to have a. I've got a new nickname for the Golden State Warriors. I'm this disappointed. Add it to the board. Write it down. Write this down right now.
All right.
Until further notice, the Golden State Warriors are now known as the Golden State Pretenders.
Until they can actually prove themselves. All right.
Until they show me some respect. Put some respect on my name and. Until I see a bit more consistency and I'm all about teams celebrating, but it needs to be in the right way and it needs to be when you actually earned it. Y'all are a 50% win-loss team and can't do anything on the road. You guys are the Golden State Pretenders until further notice.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the other top teams and majority of them get the job done. Stay cool and go home.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to finish off the podcast with 2 teams to keep an eye out for. I've selected 2. I'll see if you agree with me, but there's 2 teams to watch, I think, at the moment. 1, the Nets. They've had a huge December. 1st in offensive rating, 3rd in net rating, and they're now 3rd in the East. Yep. I think...
And on a 10-win streak, I'll add as well. They're actually 2nd in the East now, so...
Did you see that play where Ben Simmons ripped the ball off Jared Allen and chicken winged him and threw him to the floor?
No, I didn't see that one, but good to see Simmons getting some aggression back.
It's like, you know how timid Simmons is, he did it and then he just walks off, and it's like when
good to see some of that fire back. I like it.
It's when the shy kid finally pushes someone, then you can see him be like, oh crap.
Oh man! But just quickly on that Nets ones to watch. Some of them have been easy games, they've had on their 10-win streak. They've had Charlotte, Detroit, teams like that, Washington. But they've also beaten the Bucks and the Cavs within the last 3 games. So it's good to see them just absolutely on fire. 1st in offensive rating, as you mentioned.
Yep. So that's the first team to look out for, and the second team I want us to look out for is the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden has had and Joel Embiid have had a fantastic week. Both playing really well. Joel Embiid, normal crazy numbers. Harden starting to average about 20 to 25. We're starting to see a bit more output from him. So keep an eye out. Same issue as the Nets. If anything, probably a bigger issue than the Nets is that they've had some pretty soft games and just recently came off an 8-win streak to lose to the Wizards, who aren't the best, but fire Doc Rivers. So, but I want to keep an eye out for them. I want to see if Joel and Harden can keep this sort of points going, and can the 76ers bench actually help out?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have got some pieces that should have been doing well. DeAnthony Melton defensively 2nd in steals per game, Embiid leading the league in points. They've got the pieces. It's just a matter of putting it together. So we'll keep it on.
Maxley's coming back as well. So yeah, two teams to look out for this week. The Nets and the 76ers. I think it'll be really interesting to see if they can continue heading in the right direction and really tightening up the East.
100%.
So, Thanks for listening, guys. Please like, subscribe, check us out on TikTok, check out our In Progress Instagram and YouTube. Give us a like, share it to all your friends, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
See ya.